Good morning, good morning. Do 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 do. Good morning to you. Good morning. I'm down here on the farm for my last little sip of tea, and it's actually kind of warm for us. I'm back down at my family's farm. Got in last night and it just feels so good to be here. Morning light coming across the porch. And so, welcome to a daily dose of joy. We are here to set the intention to dose our brains and dose our brains throughout the day. Just 5-minute microdosing tools on the fly. And over time, they reset the baseline for the neurochemistry in our brain. No operation needed, no pills needed. We have the most amazing pharmacy inside our own brain that can calibrate us for optimal neurotransmitters in our brain. Serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, those neurotransmitters that help us hold a state of clarity and vibrancy and joy and reward. So we might as well leverage neuroscience to help us create that state ourselves. And today we're going to use the Whoopsie Daisy tool. We're going to do a Whoopsie Daisy story. And that's a microdosing tool that I developed to help generate positive neurotransmitters when something would stimulate CAN chemistry. CAN is cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine. The neurotransmitters that are usually released when there's fight or flight activity. And it could be just rushing that can cause that to get going. So I would take it in the other direction. I do take it in the other direction using Whoopsie Daisy tools. So when something unexpected happens, is a particular time, sometimes we'll get a little adrenaline rush, a kind of, one of the stories always tells, I dropped a gallon of white paint on the kitchen floor. And if you can respond like that and use laughter and humor and use storytelling to start telling the story of what's happening, which engages your prefrontal cortex, so you're not just having such a reptilian reaction, you can help combat that release of CAN chemistry and get more of the dose chemistry, the positive neurotransmitters going in your brain. So it helps to have a bunch of Whoopsie Daisy stories in your arsenal, and they can be your own, they can be other people's, to just create the habit of learning to laugh at your mistakes, learning to laugh at the shenanigans life throws at you. Because overall, most of the time we are preciously lucky and fortunate, but we can have our gaze fixed on some discomforts on the surface, and or sometimes we're really going through adversity, and we make a strong, clear intention to focus on the things we have to be grateful for, to help shift our brain. So here are some stories I was thinking of for today. Since I'm down here at the farm, I'm thinking about my family. And so I have some Whoopsie Daisy stories from my family. So this farm comes down the Winston line of my family. Yeah, I said line. Very southern. And my grandfather and my dad helped reclaim a lot of the land, help preserve it for forest and wildlife. But my grandmother, this home was actually in her family. She's the Winston side of the family. And so when I'm here, I think about her a lot. Her name was Fauntleroy Moon Garland. Fauntleroy Moon Garland. I'm not kidding. Yeah, her sister was Mary T. Yeah, we've got some good names in our family. Winston's just the tip of the iceberg. So when I'm here, I think about some of the funny whoopsie daisies with my grandmother because she and I were of different, you know, vastly different generations. And she was good and kind, um, but very much of a different generation from myself. And although my whole family has been very progressive and liberal, um, her version of that, especially around women, she was very strong, commanding woman, definitely some of the steel magnolia kind of concept. At the same time, women needed to look a certain way. Um, and I have been all over the map in the way I dress and what I do. It's sort of, there's a lot of whimsy in my past. Oh, I'll have to show you stories sometime for a 5-minute laughter flow. But this Whoopsie Daisy story was at a party she was having back in Atlanta. We used to have a big Christmas party. And I always had to dress up more than my usual, like, I don't know if you can see, but like, jeans with holes is more my genre. I don't know if I ever saw her in a pair of pants. She always wore a dress. And, for these parties, it would be a chiffon dress down to the floor. And I'm kind of diminutive. She was really tall. And, your big bosomed woman. I mean, she was a presence. And so in a full length dress most of the time for an event. And so I really had to like up my game for these family parties that she would host. And so I thought, I've done it. I'm wearing this beautiful white dress. It's, long-ish, it's not a mini skirt. And, it's like T-length. And it's white and it's kind of lace with an underlayer. And I'm probably 20, 21, 22, somewhere in there. And I show up at the party, and she has this look on her face. She's like, first it's just sheer love to see me. Oh, Winston! And, hugs me, and there are other guests and people moving around. And then soon after, though, I'm carrying some stuff out from the kitchen to refresh some trays out in the house. And she pulls me back into the kitchen. She's like, run upstairs, honey. Run upstairs and get my girdles. I think, if we safety pin it, it'll fit you. But, because that's just, you're just wearing a slip with no dress over it. Whoopsie daisy. I thought I'd done so well. But, it was sheer. And I'm not of the generation that wears a lot of armature underneath it. And she just thought that was too revealing. And that, there was no way I could have fit into one of her girdles, even if I had been willing to go do that. So I appeased her. We laughed about it, but it was a definite whoopsie daisy. It's like, whoopsie daisy. Thought I was hitting the mark. Oh, and it's a good whoopsie daisy story for me too, because many people have stories from their family where a parent or grandparent looked at them askance and it hurt their heart, and their sense of self and their sense of their appearance. And it's wonderful to take some of those, which I definitely had as a teenager and coming along, and go back to stories like that one at the time actually was a little more ouchy. But as I've retold it and seen the humor and seen the love and seen the attentiveness that she had towards me, it's really helped rewire that and to celebrate that. So that's one whoopsie daisy story from my family. And then another one that I was thinking about, because here on this porch, she used to serve, people would come from town and after church, and she'd make lemonade, maybe sweet tea, but I think it was on Sundays, it was lemonade. And then she'd make these little pound cakes, and then she'd ice them, and then she'd put like tiny bit of red dye in it so they were pink. And the icing was just powdered sugar and lemon. So it was kind of this lemon icing, and it was light pink, and she'd make them in these little cubes. And so you could come out and have some lemon cake, iced lemon cake, and lemonade. And So she was a good cook. And so being on this porch and thinking about people gathering here and her sharing this. And I mean, she made it, I think, well into the Depression too, like, because it was like flour, sugar. It was things you could do without a lot. I can't remember. I'll have to look back. I have recordings for telling me these stories. But it made me think of, so I'm a good cook now, but when I started off at like 13, not so good, especially baking, because that creative whimsy was good at coming up with dishes. Like I remember making these pasta dishes that my parents loved and putting all sorts of things into them. But this Whoopsie Daisy story is me making biscuits for the first time. I'm gonna make some biscuits, and my dad loves biscuits, and so he's like, "Great, she's making biscuits." And I go make the biscuits, and I add all this stuff. And I was trying to use my grandmother's recipe, which has a little bit of sugar and a little bit of salt and the baking soda and stuff. So it's like it doesn't taste sweet, but it's just kind of brings out the buttery biscuity flavor. I don't know. So I make them, and I go down while they're hot and take the tray. My dad's working on something in the basement, and I take it down. I'm like, "Dad, here, I made the biscuits. You'd have the first one while it's hot." He picks it up. Oh, Windy, which is what he called me when I was little, a nickname for Winston. Oh, and I was like, this is a bit odd. He's a very demonstrative kind of guy. And so he's like, "Oh, yeah." And he gets that first bite down. He's like, "Oh, it's so good." I go back upstairs, I butter some up, and I put them on a plate, take the next batch to my brother. My brother takes a bite. He's like, "Bleh," and he spits biscuit all over the room. There's no pretense with my brother. I had reversed the sugar salt. And so they were just like salt cubes, salt biscuits, but not in a good way. Whoopsie daisy, whoopsie daisy, not so good. Whoopsie daisy, oh well. It makes for a very entertaining story and great memories of how much my dad loves me. How supportive and encouraging he is. Well, I hope that you will find the humor in the rough patches in life, in your day, in the adversities that come along, and know that I am in solidarity, weaving those whoopsie daisy stories into my life, both present, future, and past. I'm so grateful to be here and to be able to share a daily dose of joy with y'all from the farm. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.